For most people, their finances aren't one big problem. It's 100 small ones. A retirement account from a job 5 years ago. A budget that lives in your head, but never on paper. Life insurance that you meant to look into. A will, half finished, or not even started. And the longer you leave those loose ends untied, the harder it becomes to move forward with peace of mind. At Dominion Wealth, we walk with you step by step to help you tie it all together. We meet you where you are. We listen. We get your financial picture out of your head and into practice. Then we build a strategy to meet your needs now, prepare for your future, and bless the next generation. We don't pressure you. We give biblical, honest guidance. Let the strategy follow your values and help find the right solutions. If your financial path feels uncertain, let's get together one-on-one and get you on the right track. Book a free consultation today. We are here to help you get your finances in order so you can feel confident about the future. From baptism to burial, Dominion's got you covered. You can find us at reform.money.
Non-rockabotus must stop. I don't want to rock the boat. I want to sink it.
Are you going to bark all day, little doggy, or are you going to bite?
We're being delusional. I love you, Jeff.
Delusional, yeah. Delusional's okay in your worldview. I'm an animal. You don't chastise chickens for being delusional. You don't chastise pigs for being delusional. So you calling me delusional using your worldview is perfectly okay. It doesn't really hurt. She hung up on me.
What?
Desperate times call for faithful men and not for careful men. The careful men come later and write the biographies of the faithful men, lauding them for their courage.
Go into all the world and make disciples. Not go into the world and make buddies. Not to make brosives.
Right.
Don't go into the world and make homies.
Right.
Disciples.
I got a bit of a jiggle neck. That's a joke, Pastor.
When we have the real message of truth, we cannot let somebody say they're speaking truth when they're not.
Take an amazing journey to a place that will blow your mind and move your heart so you will never be the same again.
A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the crookedness of the treacherous destroys them. That is from Proverbs 11, verses 1 through 3. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Apologia Radio. Luke the Bear hosting today. Pastor, well, let me start off with this disclaimer. If you're in the live feed, this was previously recorded. We're not recording live today because we have something really cool. We're recording at a normal time in a couple days. Pastor Jeff's actually on his way to Texas right now to speak at the Turning Point Pastors Conference. He's going to be doing a panel there on pro-life panel, and he's going to be representing the equal protection abolitionist perspective. So we're excited for that. But yeah, so just a heads up. So if you're commenting in the live section, this is not live. We will not be interacting today, so I apologize. But it's going to be a good show regardless. So as we are winding down our legislative session here, we have one bill active that I'm aware of, and that's in Missouri that actually just went through committee, passed through committee, and is trying to get to the floor of the Senate now in Missouri, which we're very excited about and thankful for that. So thank you everyone that supports an abortion now. We're grateful for you. And I'm going to actually, so this show's going to be, we're going to be doing some cool, we're going to be tackling a video today, but first let me bring in my guest for I believe it's the first time, I believe, on Apologia Radio. He's nodding. So Wes Fuller, what's up, brother?
What's up, brother?
This is Wes, as we call him, Georgia Jeff. They're like kind of the same person, but Wes has a cooler accent, so we're grateful for that. But Wes is, where in Georgia are you at?
Knoxville, Georgia. It's close to Macon, right in the center of the state.
Okay. I didn't know there was another Knoxville other than Tennessee. So I'm excited to have Wes on today. He has recently was pastor in a church in Georgia, and he's been super involved with our work in Georgia to end abortion there. And I'll let him get into that. But we actually just officially hired him as our new director of communications for End Abortion Now. So I wanted to bring him on to introduce him today. And he's been kicking booty the last few weeks, getting caught up on phone calls and emails, and super grateful to have him on. So Wes, I'll let you talk about yourself here, which you're probably very uncomfortable doing, but introduce yourself to the masses.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me on. So, I am husband to Sherry. So I was telling Luke a few minutes ago, we got 9 kids total, ranging from 22 and to 2. And we've been on like a birthday marathon because a lot of them were born together the last few days. So we've had a pretty hectic week so far. But I'm just so thankful to be working now with End Abortion Now officially. Been doing this work for a little while, but it wasn't that long ago that I was actually like the majority of the evangelical West is today. You know, I had acquiescence to the truth that abortion was wrong, but I wasn't doing anything. And it was through one of the pastors' events that Pastor Jeff and Pastor Brian Gunner put on in Atlanta that God just really convicted me of my apathy towards this. And I, grabbed the plow and haven't looked back. And God has really, because I'm nobody, really, I'm not. I mean, but God can take a little bit of faithfulness and really use it greatly. So did the work for about a year, just, as a layman. And then actually me and a couple of brothers that was in the church with me at that time, we formed a nonprofit organization, kind of made it official, Operation Gospel, still kicking here in Georgia. So we were doing that for the last 3 or 4 years, doing that thing. And it's still, that's where I've been working. We founded that nonprofit, now actually working with EAN, kind of handing that off to some other guys. God's really provided there. So, but God's really doing some great things here in Georgia.
Amen. Yeah. The equal protection bill is gaining lots of speed, and you're working hard and getting support for that. And looks like we need another person to carry that bill now, so he's working hard on that. What year did you go to that pastor's meeting?
It was 22 or 23.
Okay.
I think it might have been 23. I'm not sure.
Was that the first one we did in Georgia?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that was kind of a lot smaller then, huh? When we did that first one?
Yeah, it was a lot smaller. And I wasn't even a pastor at the time. I just wanted to get involved. Okay. And God really convicted me there of my apathy towards this. It's like, if you really believe that what is in the womb is life from the moment of fertilization, and that you really believe all life is worthy of protection, then what are you doing, right? Yeah. So, so it just really convicted and got in the fight. And I'm one of those all or nothing guys. Yeah. So I was all in.
Yeah. Amen, man. That's awesome. We're super glad to have Wes on board, and you'll be, if you partner with End Abortion Now, you'll be definitely getting to know Wes and hear from him, and he's great. We're super excited. So, so I just wanted to introduce him to you. And so today, what we want to talk about is, if you guys did not see it, was a clip going around from the Allie Beth Stuckey show. I can't talk there. Her show Relatable. She had David French on recently, and the clip I'm going to share is from our friends at Foundation Abolish Abortion. That's Bradley Pierce's group. So she had him on, and he made some remarks about abolitionism that are just infuriating, to be honest. But if you guys don't know who David French is, he's kind of one of the leading voices of the, I would call, the woke liberal Christian movement. Tries to play neutral, if which we would say neutrality is a myth, but he kind of tries to ride the fence a little bit there. And there's a lot of times he says stuff that we find cringy or have strong disagreements with, but obviously this one hit home. But so before we get into that, Wes, do you have anything you want to say to lead up to this clip, or if there's anything I'm missing that's important?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So we'll just get right into it here. I was talking to Wes yesterday about this, and I was laughing. I was like, we'll try to get through the clip. What is it? It's not that long. 2 minutes and 33 seconds. There's a lot of stopping points. So we'll do our best. We'll do our best to get through it. But Gabe, if you want to go ahead and pull up my screen there. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out there's a way to full screen, and I guess this is full screen. So I'll go ahead and just play. And Wes, if you want me to stop, just holler.
One of the things that I think that I'm worried about in the pro-life context is the rise of what we see from part of the pro-life movement of abortion abolitionism, including with the drive to, for example, potentially imprison mothers. And that is an example where I think that a profound lack of empathy for the mothers, and if you had a more full understanding of what they're experiencing and what they're thinking, this sort of idea that what I'm going to do is I'm going to respond to this by imposing punitive criminal laws on these young women, that in that circumstance, I think that that's an example where I think a shared sense of empathy, a greater sense of empathy and a more complete understanding would show that that is not just sort of political folly, just from an instrumental way, that it's also moral folly.
Okay. I could have stopped it about 5 different times. So, I mean, the fact that he starts off with, he's worried about the rise of abolitionism and equal protection. Ugh. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, there's people, I'm sure, that were saying that, you know, that we're trying to abolish the slave industry. I'm sure there are people that I'm really worried about this rise of these abolitionists over here. Oh man, there's so many things. So one, I want to start off by saying, you know, there's this push from, and again, this is from the pro-life industry. We see this all the time. We've seen it in every single state we've worked in, right? They've all been ended by the pro-life industry because they refuse to criminalize the women. Now, none of our bills, not one single abolition bill, says we're going to criminalize women. All they do is establish equal protection for the preborn children in the womb. So they're just saying if you terminate that pregnancy, if you end the life of that child, it's murder and should be treated as murder. That's all that they say. It's the pro-life squishy industry and guys like this that throw on this. Oh, they're just trying to criminalize women. They're just trying to, and he's a lawyer, by the way. He's a trained lawyer, so like he understands the language, but you know, he's just trying to be punitive against women. And so let's stop. I want to hear Wes on this point before I move on to the next thing you said, but like right there, let me hear your thoughts there, Wes.
Yeah, right from the beginning, he starts trying to play on your emotions. They want to criminalize mothers, right? I mean, that's just, and it's the same in every state. Just like you said, this is where they go. They want to get a emotional reaction from someone, and sadly, this has crept into the church here in Georgia. Mike Griffin, who's the lobbyist for the Georgia Baptist Convention, he says this exact same thing. This is the exact same thing I hear from him, and he's representing, you know, hundreds of Georgia Baptist churches at the Capitol. And he's saying this. So it's the same story. They start with this emotional plea that you're going to criminalize, he said, mothers. We're going to criminalize mothers. No, we're not criminalizing mothers. Anybody, he's a lawyer. He knows this, that laws don't criminalize classes of people. They criminalize crime, right? So if a mother kills her 3-year-old, are we going to send her? Yeah, I mean, there's no difference.
There's not. And it's infuriating at this point that they continue to use this argument, even though it's been refuted time and time again. And it's, at what point is it, you know, at what point are they just being dishonest, right? Like it's one thing if you're like, okay, they maybe were deceived or they misunderstood or they didn't know, maybe somebody misinformed them. But like when this has been so directly refuted time and time again, you have to start asking the question, like, at what point are you just being dishonest? At what point are you ignoring what's actually happening here? In order to, you know, propagate your view of women, which we have I would argue we have a higher view of women. We've argued that time and time again. But this protects the women who are being put into positions where they don't want to have an abortion. It protects them against the man that, you know, the rapist or, you know, the guys that just want sex without consequences. It actually protects him and it protects the child. So, anyways, so it's infuriating. It's just old and exhausting and infuriating. And someone like this that has such a large platform and understands law to be using arguments like that when he fully understands the law and how the law works, but then to argue from that position is just, it's really disappointing and sad.
Yeah.
So the next thing he said that I want to address is the empathy part. So Wes and I were talking about this on the phone yesterday. I would argue that empathy is or can or is a sin. We've had Joe Rignion talk about his book, The Sin of Empathy. And Doug, so it's funny because he's accusing abolitionists, equal protection bills. He's accusing of being a moral sin, essentially. And I would argue, no, I think you're the one being sinful here, my friend. So Doug, I like the way Doug Wilson describes the difference between empathy and sympathy. He says sympathy is, if someone's drowning, you throw them a life raft, you help them, you help save them, you do what you can to rescue them. Empathy is you just jump in the water and drown with them, because that's what people want when they want empathy. They're not really want the truth. They don't want what's going to help them. They don't want what's going to save them. What they want is for you to suffer with them. That's what empathy is. And that's exactly what the pro-life industry, the pro-life establishment is doing with their position on women, is they're saying, oh no, but these women, they're facing tough choices. Let's not tell them the truth. Let's get in the water with them and surround them. And we're really sorry that you're going through this. That's a really hard, they want to pad the truth, right? They don't want what they need is the truth. They need the gospel. They need to know that this is murder, right? Because that's the law is a tutor, right? Like that's what's going to teach them is the truth and the gospel. And we can't do that if we're not being honest with them. And so I would argue that the position he's arguing for is actually sinful. And so Wes, I know you had some thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I think it's a prime example of the sin of empathy, what he's demonstrating right here, because it's untethered from the truth. And just looking at this, empathy is a fairly new word. I think it didn't, the 20th century, something like that. That word comes out, and it's like supposed to be sympathy 2.0, like a better sympathy. Now, sympathy's good, and that's something we see that's scriptural, right? Having sympathy for people. We see it in Hebrews 4:15. We have a high priest that is not unable to sympathize with our weakness, but in every respect has been tempted as we are, yet without sin, right? But that's what this empathy, this sinful empathy wants you to do. It wants to detach you from the truth, and it becomes sin. And that's what he's asking. And we are more sympathetic with mothers when we go to the mill. We're at the state house. We are sympathizing with them. We're just not going to, like you said, jump in there and die with you. We're seeking your better good. And that's what sympathy does. It seeks the better good of the one that you're sympathizing with. You're not suffering. You're suffering with them, not in them, right? You're not getting in the quicksand with them. You're staying tethered to the truth. And that's where he falls short. He's disconnected from the truth of God's word.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was a professing Christian until you said something a minute ago. I just thought he was a pagan journalist or something. But anyway.
No, he's a professing Christian. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, like we said, like this is what the pro-life industry is saying. He's just regurgitating what they say, and we'll get to the end. Allie Beth does a really great job of defending our position at the end, which I'm very grateful for. But like, this whole argument of, well, they don't know what the women are going through. And, every time I hear that, I'm like, you've never been to the mill.
No,
you've never gone.
Not one day.
Not one day. And not only that, you're ignoring all the times that it's all over the news or wherever where we're saying where women know exactly what they're doing and they want the right to do it. Mm-hmm. They've said it. We want the right to murder our children. Now, that's not everybody. I get that. And we understand that there are women in positions where maybe they're being coerced or forced to have an abortion. We understand that. And guess what? Under equal protection, they would be exonerated in the court of law and those guilty of forcing them to have an abortion would be found guilty. That's how this works. That's how law works. It works just like that in any other murder case. But we know, Wes knows, like from going to the mill and time again, seeing those women who know exactly what's going on and they brag about it. They're proud of it. You know, they go to the state capitol or whatever and take all their abortion pills like in public. It's like it's literally a public glorification of murder, and it's being celebrated. This is just Romans 1, right? Morality is being flipped on its head. And it's men like this. It's this position like this that, again, going back to Romans 1, that not only, you know, said that it's okay, to justifies it, but is celebrating it.
Yeah. No, they want you to celebrate it with them.
Yeah.
And the women that, like you said, there are some women that are in that position, and under equal protection law, then now they have protection from that, where when there's no law, then, you know, there's nothing to be coerced illegal. I mean, they're not coercing you into anything illegal. So this is loving women truly is having equal protection laws, and it prevents that from happening. But by and large, it's not the case. When you go to the mill, you see these women shouting their abortion. They're, you know, they know exactly what they're doing. And I think it's a pretty low view of women that say they don't know what they're doing when they do it. You know, they don't know what to do. I think he's going to talk about that here in a minute, about, you know, these desperate 19-year-olds or whatever. But yeah, like they don't know what's going on. Yeah, they do. Women have been having babies for thousands of years. So
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, that's a good place to stop right there. We're going to go ahead and go to our first break. You hear from our sponsor, Ion Layer. We're grateful for them. So we'll see you here in a minute or two.
This episode's brought to you by Ion Layer at ionlayer.com. Go and check out the health benefits, the wellness benefits, and longevity benefits of NAD treatments. NAD is nicknamed the fountain of youth for a reason. You have an abundance of this in your system when you're young. As you get older, it drops off, and now we've found a way to get NAD into our systems. They do it through IV treatments, but they're very expensive, and it's also extremely painful and difficult. However, Ion Layer found a way to get a high dose of NAD into your system through a medical patch you wear on your arm. You wear it for about 14 hours. You get a high dose of NAD treatment into your system and no pain at all. And it is a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for an IV treatment. In the coupon code, type in Apologia in all caps. They're going to hook you up with a great discount for an already amazingly cost-effective product. And they bless Apologia Studios and help us to stay on the air and do all these programs with you. Don't forget also, Ion Layer has added a glutathione patch as well. Glutathione, the master antioxidant. Go check out the health benefits of glutathione. I'm doing this stuff anyways. It's blessed my life in tremendous ways. And so if you want to focus on your health, wellness, and longevity, nothing better in my mind than ionlayer.com for your NAD and glutathione treatments. ionlayer.com. Don't forget to put Apologia in all caps in the coupon code.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you again, Ion Layer, for partnering with us. We're super grateful. They are a huge blessing in so many different ways. So we'll just get right back into this. So again, we're picking up in this interview with David French and Allie Beth Stuckey. And so we just ended with this idea of empathy and not understanding what the women are going through and you know, trying to be punitive against them and not understanding what they're going through. So we'll start playing again, and I know there'll be some more stopping points here.
It's an apples and oranges comparison between, say, a murder statute and an abortion by a desperate 19-year-old. That these are very different moral and very different, and from just a matter of intent and mindset. These are just very, very different things.
Why?
Really?
Why? What makes them different? Now, again, I understand there are going to be some women that maybe are being coerced and forced, but like that's what we've experienced. That's the minority. That's not the majority. So we shouldn't be creating laws based upon the exception. We should be doing it based upon the rule, right? And so, but like, why? Why is it different? Why is it different if a mother takes a pill knowingly ending the life of the child in her womb, why is that different than if she drowns her 2-year-old? Why?
Yeah.
Because she's a woman? That's the difference? Like, that's literally what he's saying. That's the only thing that's different there. I mean, she's still a woman outside, but like, if it was a man, would we be saying this? Would we be treating it the same way? I would definitely say no. Wes, you were going to say something.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. The intent's different, really? No, they take that pill to kill the baby in the same way a mother would drown her 3-year-old to kill that 3-year-old. So it's just lies, man. It's just lies. It's stuff to play on your emotions. This desperate 19-year-old. So as you guys have said before, try that with rape. Mm-hmm. What about these desperate teenage boys that rape other girls? Do they get a free pass because they were desperate?
Right.
You know, that doesn't work anywhere else. But all of a sudden, when we're killing babies, we want to throw that in as like the trump card that's going to just, trump everything. And it's just not true.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The word desperate there. That, I guess, that's his crux, right?
Yeah.
So if the 19-year-old mother wasn't desperate and she just hates babies, would she be guilty? Honest question.
Yeah.
So yeah. Again, it's just maddening. Like, I'm sure there's been women that have murdered their children outside the womb, and if you talk to them, they've probably felt really desperate too. But I guess maybe because the baby's outside the womb. So okay. Do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, I was going to say it's funny, that he says that. I've actually had a legislator here in Georgia tell me something similar. She's like, I just can't support a bill that would prosecute teenage girls, right? That are going through all these hormonal changes and things, and they don't know what to do, and they're desperate. So they throw these same arguments out. It's the same around the board. This desperate 19-year-old, these hormones are running through, but you can't use that with any other crime. We don't use that. We don't accept that with any other crime. So why is it accepted here?
Yeah. And to go off of what you said earlier, I'm sure there's plenty of 19-year-old men that are going through hormonal shifts in their body that they just are desperate to rape somebody, right? Like if we're going to use the hormonal shifts argument, like, it's, talk about apples and oranges. Like, let's talk apples and apples here. Oh my goodness, it's infuriating. Okay.
I think they would probably argue, and I think it is an interesting topic, and we've kind of debated it and discussed it on this show. But I think their argument, to be fair, is not necessarily a lack of empathy, but one that it's a case by case. They're not always desperate 19-year-olds. And I do think that you have to look at each circumstance, that there are women who know exactly what they're doing. And it's not just at 6 weeks gestation, it's at 16 weeks gestation. And that not all women, just because they're having an abortion, are an automatic victim. And then I think the bigger idea is that if we really believe that all human beings are made in the image of God from the moment of conception, why doesn't that little baby deserve the same rights that you and I do? Mm-hmm. We believe that if someone conspired to murder us, paid someone to murder us, or murdered us, that they should go to jail. And I think the argument, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, by abolitionists is that, well, then we really are treating those little embryos as unequal. If we're saying that their murderer, or the person who paid for them to be, say, in this case, knowingly murdered, if they don't go to jail, we don't actually believe in fair and equal justice for that embryo. So I don't know if I can say overall that the abolitionists are lacking empathy. I think that they're driven by, the desire to oppose unequal weights and measures when it comes to these little babies inside the womb that I know you also care about.
Yeah, it's interesting. I
love Allie Beth. That was fantastic. Such a great defense of our position. And I think this clip's about her. I actually I haven't seen the whole interview because I don't think they put in what his response really to that, but in this clip, but she's absolutely right. And this, again, that's what we've been talking about. She just kind of summed it all up in about 30 seconds, but great job, Allie Beth. Thank you so much for that. What are you going to say, Wes?
No, that's it. She hit the nail on the head. It's not that we lack empathy. We sympathize with those mothers. In fact, lots of the guys that I know that are full-time at going to the mills here in Georgia, they're providing baby showers, and we're offering adoption. There's so much there. We're there to actually help them, but we're going to stay connected to the truth. We're not going to jump in and sin with them. We're going to stay connected to the truth of God's word and tell them that abortion is murder. There's forgiveness in Christ, and we're here to help you. We will adopt your baby. We will help you out financially if that's what you need. Whatever it is, we're here to help you. But it's not okay for you to murder your baby. And I think one thing he said earlier, too, that just flashes back is about the morality of this. And laws know the laws teach, like you said a few minutes ago. This is going to instruct these mothers not to do it. If we've seen what happens in California, you lax the theft laws, and what happens? Theft goes through the roof. There's talking with someone about a week ago that lives in, I think it's in Oregon. He lives, and he says that it's gotten so liberal and so bad there that nobody wants to live there because crime's going through the roof. They're relaxing the law. The law teaches these people that this is not okay. We wouldn't have, this many babies being murdered every day in the state of Georgia if there was a law here in the state of Georgia that says this is not okay and instructs the mothers.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're exactly right. I'll touch on that in a second. I was just going to say that going back to what Allie said, the equal weights and measures. We preach that all the time. That was a verse I read at the beginning. Like, God hates unequal weights and measures. It's an abomination to him. And this is what David French is arguing for. He's arguing for unequal weights and measures, that a woman should be treated with a less weight. Her crime should be committed or treated with less weight than a man's. Or a woman with a baby inside the womb should be treated with less weight than a woman with a baby outside the womb, which is just crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Where is this coming from? But this is what we're up against, and going back to what you were just saying, Wes, I talk about this all the time. It's one of my favorite verses in Proverbs where there's no prophetic vision that people cast off restraint, but blessed is he who keeps the law. This is exactly what we're talking about. What he's arguing for is no prophetic vision, right? He's wanting to lessen the blow of the prophetic vision, and that's not like a prophet saying this is going to happen, prophesying this is going to happen in the future. We're talking teaching. We're talking the law, right? So if we're saying no, here's God's law. This is murder. It should be treated as murder. That's the prophetic vision. But because these people are lessening this, they're flipping it on its head, right? What are we seeing? That people cast off restraint. It's exactly what Wes was just talking about. The law is a tutor that teaches the people what to do and what not to do. So when we're saying it's okay that you do this, they've cast off restraint and they're murdering their babies at will. One of the things I always make sure when we go to the different pastors' meetings, one of the things I always make sure I mention, because people are shocked by this, they don't believe this. Like, you can go on YouTube right now and search DIY abortion, and there's videos on YouTube showing women, teaching women how to murder their children in their womb at home. And like, we're okay with that. Our nation, our culture is okay with that. Men like that, I would hope he wouldn't be okay with that, but he's certainly ignoring stuff like that. Again, that's people casting off restraint. They don't care. They're just going to do what they want because there's no prophetic vision. And then the rest of the verse says, but blessed is he who keeps the law. That's what we're saying. We need to keep the law. We need to keep God's moral law, God's civil law. I mean, this goes back to the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not murder. Like, this is as basic as you get. We're not even getting into theonomy, and most Christians are going to say yes to the 10 Commandments, right? We're not even arguing about the civil law and Christian nationalism or any of that. We're talking the bare bones basics here. Love your neighbor as yourself. And we can't even do that. But blessed is he who keeps the law. Wes, you want to say anything?
No, I think you covered it, brother.
So yeah, this is what we're up against. Wes, which states have you been heavily involved in this legislative session?
So this year we were in Illinois, Tennessee, and Georgia. Those are the 3 states that I worked in this year.
And I have been working in Tennessee. I was in Tennessee with Wes. South Dakota, Idaho. I'm trying to think. Those are the main ones I've been involved with this session. Same thing, every single state. Like, tell me tell the listeners some of the stuff you've heard, some of the experiences you've had in those states revolving around this topic.
Yeah. So Tennessee is a prime example. You were there with us at the Capitol Republican supermajority majority committee, and they didn't even have the backbone to stand up and second a motion to be heard. I mean, and it's because they've been discipled in this kind of theology here, right? If that's what you want to call it. This is what they believe. This is what they're being taught. And like I said, in the state here where I live in Georgia, I know that's what they're being taught. And that's what they believe, because the church has lost its prophetic voice to tell them, thus saith the Lord. This is what God says about this. And that's why we're having to do these pastors' meetings, to raise these men up to go out and be that prophetic voice again into the state house, because we believe that Jesus is not just Lord of the church house, but of the state house and every sphere of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Tennessee was definitely one of them that we saw. You know, I think Tennessee Right to Life was stepping up against. In Georgia here, Georgia Life Alliance, I actually have copies of the letters that were sent to the Speaker of the House on multiple occasions. One occasion we did a press conference there. They sent out a letter saying this exact same stuff. It's just filled with lies about our bill, lies about us, and, you know, discouraging this bill. And this is the big pro-life establishment group here in the state of Georgia. And like you said, it's the same in every state.
Yeah. Tell us about Illinois. I mean, our legislator there was getting death threats.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you what, I was super impressed with Illinois. The strength of the church there. You know, everybody thinks, well, that's a blue state, you have a chance. Well, I'm going to tell you what, that church is strong there. Those guys are working their tail off on that signal group that we've got, where they're all coming together, laboring together. And it's just really amazed me. I was a little jealous. I mean, I have to be honest. It took me about 2 or 3 years to get 100 people on the Georgia group, and I think we were there one time, and we had over 100 people working in Illinois. So that church there, I was really impressed with those brothers and sisters there, and Tennessee's the same way.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of expect that as you get closer to the Bible Belt, that you're going to have some more participation on this. But man, Illinois they stood out, you know, amongst the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah. What people don't understand is when we find a Christian legislator that's brave enough, courageous enough to run one of these bills, like, no one thinks about what they have to go through, what they have to endure, what their families have to go through. I mean, again, our legislator in Illinois was getting his family, they're getting death threats. Like, because they want to save babies, because they want to end the murder of our preborn neighbors, they're receiving death threats. And it's hard to find legislators that are brave enough to do this. And what's great, this is the honest truth, guy. I'm being real open and honest with everyone here. When we find someone that is willing to do it, we usually we'll do everything we can behind the scenes to help them get into office and get elected. We intentionally don't offer public support for these legislators until they get elected, because we know that the moment we do, the pro-life industry is going to make sure they don't get elected. We've seen it time and time again. And like, how crazy is that? Like, how sad and frustrating is that? You know, so once they get in office and we're all in, we're going to help them, we're going to support them and all that. But like, we can't even publicly endorse these people, these men and women, until they're in office, because the pro-life industry will shut them down. And I mentioned this a few weeks ago. Well, I guess it's been a couple months now, but we learned that at the time I mentioned, I don't think this hasn't been a nationwide thing, but we did learn in Arkansas, for example, that the pro-life industry was sending out questionnaires to their legislators, and asked, one of the questions was whether or not they would support equal protection. And we had a legislator in Arkansas that said, yes, I'm going to support equal protection. And the pro-life industry did not give them a perfect pro-life score. They actually harmed his ability to get elected. The pro-life industry, because he said he was going to support equal protection. These are the people that are saying they're pro-life. They're not really pro-life. They're faux pro-life. They're kind of pro-life. So this is just, you know, examples of the kind of nonsense we're up against every day for some of us, that this is what we do all the time. This is just a small part of what I do, but you know, and so it's crazy, man. You got any more stories or situations like that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we had the same thing go on in Georgia this year. We had a guy that had been co-sponsored our bill, a representative here in Georgia, been with us for 2 years, you know, going through the second year. He has a meeting with Georgia Life Alliance, and the very next day he pulls his name off our bill. And then I see a endorsement on social media for Georgia Life Alliance endorsing him. That was the requirement for him to get their endorsement, was pull his name off of the equal protection bill in Georgia. And these are the people, and what's sad, and we need to just really get this word out, is that sadly organizations like Georgia Life Alliance and, you know, National Right to Life and its affiliates in every state are doing this on the church's dime. The church is footing the bill for them to keep abortion legal. And, you know, that's what's different about End Abortion Now. You know, it was really weird stepping into this position. Is like, from day one, I'm trying to work myself out of a job, right? that's not their goal, right? They're not trying to work themselves out of a job. They want to keep the revenue coming in, so they just want to keep this thing on a hamster wheel where babies still keep getting murdered, so they can still keep making money.
Yeah. It's sad, man. It's definitely very suspicious. I'll say that much. So, but tell you what, that's a good place to bring us to our next break. So Gabe was going to play an ad here from our friend Bill Rapier at Amtac Blades, and I'm actually going to tell you something really exciting about that when we come back from the break. So, Gabe, you want to go ahead and play that ad, and we will see you in a couple minutes. This video is brought to you by Amtac Blades. We are very excited to be partnering with Amtac. Bill Rapier, longtime Navy SEAL, DevGuru operator, amazing brother and friend. Looking for a battle axe to carry on your person, to chop some wood? They've got you covered. Looking for a blade to carry on you every day? Also got you covered. Look at this. I got to check my mail. What do we got going on here? Oh, look how sharp that is. What is this? Oh, 5% off. You can go to amtacblades.com, put Apologia in the coupon code, get 5% off your order, and he will match that and give 5% to End Abortion Now. Again, amtacblades.com. We're grateful for them. Check them out. Welcome back, everyone. So I mentioned I want to discuss something cool. So obviously we got our battle axes from Amtac Blades, and I got my two blades I have from Bill there. One's a folder that I carry on me. The other one I carry on my level 1 go bag I bring with me. But he, I might even have it. I might be getting it tomorrow in the mail, but he's sending us a custom End Abortion Now blade that I'm very excited about. I saw pictures of it that we will be raffling off. So be looking for that. That's coming very, very soon. I'm going to do a video to advertise for it, but it's an awesome blade, and I'm very, very excited. It says End Abortion Now on the spine. Super, super cool. I think I'm gonna the tagline's gonna be like, save lives while defending yours. But anyways, love Bill. He's a great brother. Legendary Navy SEAL. Wes just talked to a couple of my SEALs, or one of them, this recently. But anyway, sorry, completely threw me off where I was going to go with the conversation. So yeah, we got a big fight ahead of us. You know, we're, Lord willing, we're gearing up now for the next session, right? Next year, 27, because like I said, everything's kind of winding down. It's usually the first 4 months of the year. Sometimes we get some stragglers like we do right now in Missouri. And so we're trying to figure out like what states are we going to focus on next year. And it's a lot of the same states that we've made progress in, and Lord willing, we'll be back in North Dakota next year as well. I'm working on some stuff, hopefully in Alaska, which is cool. Never been there. I'm hoping to get to Alaska, but yeah, I mean, I just had a Zoom call with those guys a couple weeks ago, just trying to encourage them. This is what I told those guys, is like, just be faithful, man. Like, it's so easy to like feel defeated and beat up, and you see the different states we're working in and how those legislators just run through, man. Like, and again, it's because they're just trying to be faithful. They're just literally just standing up for the most basic of biblical principles of loving their neighbor. And to see the opposition, to see the political just garbage you got to wade through, and the dances you have to do, and the people that call themselves Christians just not doing the right thing and not being courageous and being cowards. And it's so easy to just get discouraged and to get very jaded and very negative. Wes happens to be on the post-mill train as well. And so it's very, we just had a very good conversation with Brian Gunner about that, but
he's not post-mill yet.
Exactly. Brian, if you're listening, shout out. I won't tell you what I got you on in that conversation, but so the point is we have hope. We know that abortion will be put under the feet of Christ. We believe that Scripture teaches that. We believe it's inevitable. It's just a matter of when. And so we're just like, we just got to be faithful. We just got to do the right thing. And so, like, again, what I was telling my guys up in Alaska, like, just be faithful. God will bless that. We have no idea when this is going to happen. We know it will happen. And so just be faithful. Just stand strong. Don't bow to, because there's I actually want to hear if you have any stories about this. Every stinking session we encounter a legislator somewhere that has a very enticing offer to kind of, back off a little bit, right? We always get them every single time. And I'll be honest, there's been times where like, oh man, maybe is this wise? Should we do this? And we have talking about thing, but then we're like, no, stop. Like, you have to kind of like just shake it out. Like, no, this guy's crazy. He's just a snake, Do you got any stories like that, like in Georgia and in the other states you've been working in?
Yeah, we did a luncheon here this year. In fact, one of the guys that wrote the House Speaker's in vitro bill for last year, he was codifying in vitro in the state of Georgia, and this rep carried it. He said, "You're not going to get this passed because the implications for in vitro." I was like, my bill doesn't mention in vitro explicitly in it. He's like, yeah, but you need to write something in there for it. He said, then you can get it passed, right? So start writing in compromise. You start writing in compromise, and we'll vote for this bill and we'll pass it for you. And that's what they're wanting you to do ultimately.
Yeah.
Carrots always being dangled, brother.
Yeah. Yes.
Just compromise a little bit.
Yep. And they got some big carrots too.
They do.
Yeah. And what's hard is we've seen this time and time again too, where you'll have a legislator that just completely gung-ho, like on board with equal protection, like this is what I'm going to do, this is my mission, right? Like they're all about it, and they get elected, and they're in their 30 days and they come out just a different person. Like where did that fire go? And they lose it so quick because just it really is the swamp, just the political games you got to play. And we've seen it. It's sad and discouraging. And so all that to say, if you know legislators that are courageous enough to do this, support them, thank them, like just send them an email. You can call their office. Like, it means the world to these people to know that they have support. And sometimes that's all they need. I know Jeff told a story about our guy in Illinois, like how he was ready to just give up almost. And then he got flooded with all this encouragement, and it just was like, all right, I'm back in it, So encourage those people, thank them, support them. If you have a desire to get involved, let us know. We make sure you get some training. We'll try to help support you best we can, because it's not just in abortion now. We also have red state reforms, our C4, so they can do a lot more stuff legislatively, and they can lobby and stuff like that, which we can too, but there's some tricky lines you have to dance around. But that's what I want to say is just, if you're interested, you want to get involved, you want to do more, let us know, and we'll help you get involved. So that's kind of what I think Wes is going to be doing. So what kind of stuff are you up to right now for us? What's the plan? What are you hoping to do here the rest of this year?
Yeah, starting to work. I'm actually still talking with some people in Ohio. I think their bill may still be going.
I didn't even know that.
They got some stuff going on in Ohio. So working on that. We've got a pastors meeting that's coming up in Georgia, where we're going to do kind of like a recap, regroup, and re-engage. We want to, right now is the time when there's no off season in abolitionism. So
no, there's not.
Actually, you're just reaping the fruit during the legislative session of your work that you put in during session being out. So exactly now is the time to be discipling your lawmakers, to be, you got time, you can set up lunches with these guys, pastors. We did it last year. We had some more people come and sign on with us. So now's the time to get to work. So we're going to do a kind of post-session meeting on May 5th in Macon, Georgia at Pine Forest Baptist Church. And Jeff's coming out for that. And we're going to do a meeting there and kind of strategize and get ready kind of get our marching orders so we can get to work here in Georgia and start moving this thing forward, because we're not done here yet.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, obviously the first 4 months of the year are so busy because you never know when there's a bill's going to drop or when it's going to go into committee or whatever. So a lot of times we got to be available to just drop everything and run. And so it's super, super chaotic, but you're right. The other 8 months of the year is where the work's really done, and that's encouraging and building. And he reminded me I don't have a date yet, but Daryl Groves and I are planning on being back in North Dakota sometime in the fall for another pastors meeting and keep things going. What's hard with a state like North Dakota is they do every other year. And so every other year is a fiscal year, and then they switch to the other stuff. So we had a bill and it was fantastic 2 years ago. Went to committee, had a vote for, and committee got a vote on the floor, because everything in North Dakota has to get voted on. It has to go committee and it has to go to the floor. And it was great. It was fantastic. It didn't obviously pass, but it was really great. It did really well. And now it's they got to wait 2 years, and so it's hard because you lose a lot of the momentum. So we're trying to keep that momentum going there and keep people excited. And so yeah, that's a great point, man. It's just staying involved throughout the year. And if there's other states, we can have other pastors meetings as well and keep getting legislators involved and pastors involved. And that's been the most effective thing for us is we call them pastors meetings, right? You don't have to be a pastor to come, but the point is to get as many pastors as we can. You get ministry leaders there, and because it has to come from the pulpit. And I think that's something that we're desperately missing, is it's not coming from the pulpit, and pastors are not being courageous and leading their congregations in the fight to end abortion. And they may do the pro-life Sunday in January, and that's what most Christians think is pro-life, right? Let's support the National Right to Life or the Georgia Right to Life, or all the different states. Thankfully ours here in Arizona, the Arizona Right to Life has broken away from the National Right to Life, and they're pretty solid. But most Christians, like you said, that's what we thought. You vote pro-life, you vote Republican, they're going to do the right thing, and then you get involved, right? And you're like, oh shoot, this is a mess. This is not what I thought was going on. So you got any thoughts on that?
That was what the wake-up call was for the church in Tennessee, I believe, right? Yeah. I think they just thought that they took what they said, they're pro-life for face value, and they were blown away when they got into that committee room and saw that these people were cowards. They were not even going to look at their counterpart over there with his bill. They just wouldn't even look up. They were so ashamed, and they should have been ashamed because they were acting cowardly. They run on a pro-life ticket. They say I'm pro-life. That's what they get their votes on. And then when the truly pro-life bills come before them, they don't even have the courage to second it, right? They don't even want it to be heard. And it's right back to what you're saying. The church has lost its voice. We've lost our voice, the pulpit. I know I was accused, some of the people in the church I was pastoring said they got tired of hearing about it. And, I just reminded them that I don't think you're as tired of hearing about it as God is of seeing it.
Oof.
Right. And there's a balance there. Rusty Thomas, when I first started pastoring the church, he said, there's two ditches. There's one ditch, nobody ever talks about it. If they do, it's just that one Sunday a year, Sanctity of Life Sunday. He said, and then the ditch that you have to watch out for is the same one that he said he had to watch out for, is where that's all we talk about. You have to preach the full counsel of God as a pastor, but when there's opportunity to bring this up, we need to bring it up, because lots of these women that we see at the abortion clinic, I know you've experienced it too, Luke, is they profess to be Christians. They go to church, right? But they haven't had a faithful pastor to stand up there and address this topic. So the culture has discipled them on what their worldview looks like concerning abortion.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a problem within the church. And that's what we got to do, is get the pastors faithfully proclaiming God's word, speaking to this issue, the relevant issues of our day. And I wouldn't think there's a bigger ministry that you could have in your church than a ministry to end abortion.
Yeah, because ultimately it has to come through the gospel. This is one of our big things. It has to come through the local church and through the gospel, because if we're going to end this, we have to change. Hearts and minds have to be changed first, right? Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is through the gospel, through the work of the Holy Spirit in their lives. And so, again, like you have someone like David French here, who is just, I would argue, a coward, but like that's not going to change anything. It's a bunch of just wishy-washy hot garbage, right? That's not going to change anything. That's just going to further the slaughter of our pre-born neighbors.
Fire.
Yeah, fuel the fire.
Yeah, it's just going to fuel it. It's going to be more. It's going to be more going on because we're not addressing the issue.
Yeah, and this is a great point to end right here. So, and I'm glad you said that, because what people don't realize, and a lot of these states that are conservative states, and I feel like a broken record here, but since we're having the conversation, a lot of these pro-life states that have the most restrictive, pro-life laws on the books, that like South Dakota, for example, that you can't get an abortion in South Dakota. You have to go outside the state, which is great. Praise the Lord for that. But what people don't realize is that because of the pro-life industry bills not criminalizing women, you can to get a pill and then murder your child through a pill easily. You have it shipped in, no problem. You can do a DIY abortion, no problem, because there's no repercussions for that. And so Bradley Pierce is doing the best he can to keep up with the numbers, but truth be told, like, we really have no idea how many abortions are happening right now via the pill. And we're confident that it's more than what was happening before Roe was overturned. We're confident in that. But there's really no way to know for sure. There's no way to monitor that, because it's so easy. They just get the pill, they ship it in, get it in the mail, take it. No one ever knows, except for God. And those women need to hear the truth. They need to hear the gospel. Like, they can turn from that. They can repent for murdering their child like that. They can turn to Christ and be forgiven. But because of the way the laws are, because the law is not acting as a tutor, they've cast off restraint and they're just doing it at will. Thoughts?
I think that's it, brother.
The only difference between Georgia Jeff and Jeff is regular Jeff would have continued on for another half an hour.
I've got to get better at that.
Wes is awesome. I love him, man. Well, he's got to get going here. His kid's got a baseball game. So you're just watching? You're not coaching?
I'm coaching.
Oh, you are coaching. That's right. You're third base coach.
Yeah.
Are you
not managing here, but coaching?
Is that that arm's ready? Huh? You're warmed up.
Yeah, I got it loosened up.
Are you an aggressive third base coach or conservative?
Yeah, pretty aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I've learned coaching my daughter's softball, we're way off track now, but I don't know how it is with the Little League baseball, but like if the ball if the ball's hit and it doesn't get back to the pitcher, like, you just run, like, until the ball.
That's it.
Yeah. And so, like, we've scored so many runs where, like, the ball's just ping ponging around the infield because it hasn't got back to the pitcher, and you're literally just, it's an educated guess. It's a risk, but it's an educated risk that even if the ball gets to the catcher at home, they ain't going to catch it, and they're not going to tag out your runners. You're just sending them. You're just sending them. So that's funny. That's, I did third base coach for a little while. It was too much pressure. I'm the bench coach now. I'm managing the dugout, so which I like. It's fun. And that's for softball. Anyways, Wes, where can people find you now that you're with us?
You can email me at Wes at endabortionnow.com, and I'm on X at Dragonslayer. _ OG.
You're going to take over our X account too, right? That's the plan.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's in the works. Try to get some of the backlog caught up, and then start doing some of those things. Doing the Facebook page as well. So we'll be on Facebook getting some more updates for End Abortion Now on there than you have been receiving in the past.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll be seeing a lot more of Wes, hearing from him, and he's got that really awesome Southern gentleman accent. So.
Yeah, nobody would ever guess I'm from Georgia.
It's not too thick though, thankfully. So we're good there. But Wes, I'm grateful for you, man, and excited to have you on board, and looking forward to what we have in store for us this next year.
Amen, brother. Well, thank you for having me on today. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, man. Well, have fun at your boys' baseball game. Before we go, I want to mention, of course, you can go to shop.apologiastudios.com. You can get tracks, you can get coffee, you can get swag, all kinds of good stuff. And speaking of Bradley Pierce, we always want to mention Heritage Defense. Are you signed up with Heritage Defense? Look at this guy.
I'm not.
Oh, my goodness. Then you need to go to heritagedefense.org, put Apologia in the coupon code, and get your first month free. So, you know what it is?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, look at this. We might get a new member here. So it's one of Bradley's things. So basically, it's a legal defense on call 24/7 in case a 3-letter agency comes to your door. If you homeschool, you have to homeschool your children.
We do.
Yeah, I know you do. So it's super affordable. And you just literally, if they come to your door for whatever reason, you just call them up. Sometimes Brad's on call. Call them up, say, talk to my lawyer, give them the phone, shut the door. And anyways, heritagedefense.org. They're awesome. Bradley's amazing. And he does a lot of awesome work behind the scenes. And he's been doing a lot, going to all these different states and speaking in these committees and hearings and stuff. And he's just an awesome man. So anyways, we'll end right there. We'll be back next week. And like I mentioned, we're going to be doing a really, really, really cool special interview, Jeff and I, this week. I don't know when we'll drop that, but be watching for that. It's out of this world, I'll say that. There's a hint there. Anyways, and Dominion Wealth. Can't forget Dominion Wealth. Love those guys. We're grateful to be partnering with them. You can go to reform.money, get a free consultation from them. I promise they'll help you. Anyways, that's all. Thank you, everyone, for your support. We're grateful for all you, and peace out.